All right, my name is Bobby Glaza. I've been doing Christmas lights for 3 years now. Um, I have I've been building these controllers here for the past few years, or for the last year. I have three F, F and K32s, one K16 and one K8 that I built. These are just the way that I found to do it. Um, the first um, I mean, as you can see on my camera, I have the picture of what the final product is. Um, what I start with is actually is anybody going to be building with me, or is this just going to be a demonstration?
If I can interject really quick, we had a few people that are saying they're just going to be learning and digesting, so watching.
Okay, okay, okay. So what I do to start off is I take my cutting boards that I have and I'll put them down. I'll take my meanwhile supply that I have, measure out where I want to put my holes to strap them down. So I mark them off. And then I drilled these because I started working on these before I was asked about doing this class. I drill the holes for my supplies. Then I'll put my two boards together, clamp them so they don't move. And for the holes for the power supplies, I'm sorry, I used a 1564 drill bit. And for the corner posts, when I'm going to drill into here, it is 1364s. So once I have it clamped down, I'll take it and I'll drill my holes into my board. And as you can see, then the holes will be lined up with the board, so everything will be straight on that. I put the other board aside. I'll take my mean wells, and I will take zip ties. I'm using the 11-inch variety. I feed it down through the cutting board and then back up for one. Do the same. Put my power supply on there, and then just connect these together because they don't reach. Connect those up.
Hey Bobby, are you going to be adding the FM transmitter in this build?
No, I do not have the FM transmitter. I actually have used the external ones, the ones you buy on Amazon. And as I go, I trim the ends off, like using diagonal cutters. Now, when I've also done this using doing my K32, I also use the HP power supplies, and on those I had one facing one way and one facing the other, so that I could wire up both sides of the board. Because as this is going to be, and this goes on, the power will go from this one to here, and then from this power supply to these posts. Okay, so now I have my power supplies attached to this board. Just, I mean, the way I like it, I find it just be cheap. You know, the zip ties are very, very cheap. If I need to, I can always just snip it right off, change out the power supply. Next, we're going to do the posts for the for this. I bought clear vinyl tubing from Ace Hardware, measured out to be 3 inches, and then cut them. Take the post, put it to the bottom, and then I just use a spacer on there just to keep the next cutting board off of the power supplies and to give room for the air to flow through it. Just for now, so I don't lose, I'm going to place and so stuff doesn't fall apart, I'll just place the nuts on top of here for now. And put this off to the side. All right, so next is going to be the controller plate. Now I went on to jdation.com and I got the exact sizing for the board, so that I don't have to try and look down and see where it is I'm going to be drilling my holes. I just place it so that it's right on the edge of the cutting board, and I will use my clamps as well again. Tape, whatever you want to use. I mean, I just have these laying around, so that's what I grab. Now for this, I'm going to be using 1/8 inch bit. And I drill in on this printout. All the black circles on here are where the bolts are going to be going through for my standoffs. a total of 7 of them on here, so make sure you get them all. Take these off. Now I have all 7 holes already now drilled in there so that I can place my screws and my standoffs in there. Again, I just found to find vinyl hose at Ace Hardware. That's where I get mine from. For this, I will be cutting it to, I need 2 1/2-inch and 5 1-inch hose pieces. Two. And my 5 other standoffs. Now, before you mount your board onto here, make sure that you install your USB extension. If you're using, I'm using wireless, so I'm going to be using a USB extension so that it will come out. Because it is on the bottom, as you can see. It's on the bottom underneath here, so it is hard to reach it if you forget. And also, I like using a SD card extender and make sure that is in as well. Okay, so stick these up right through the bottom, holes through the bottom. And what you can also use to keep that from coming out is masking tape, which I don't have right now. So these two here that are little insets, those are going to be my half-inch standoffs. And all the others get the 1 inch. Just fasten those down with the nuts. That board's on there pretty tight. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put these two cutting boards together now. Actually, for demonstration purposes, I actually should take this off till I get the wiring all done underneath. Sorry. Okay, so I have red wire, black wire, and green wire. What I need to do is I need to connect my lives, my neutrals, and my grounds together on both of these power supplies. Because I'm going to have one um, cord coming in to power both of these supplies. So I need to cut. Figure about 6 inches is good. Is about what you need. Maybe a little extra, but strip off both ends. In case you don't know, if you guys don't have these, this is a lifesaver when you're stripping your wires. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach spade connectors to each end of the wires. Now we're going to connect the two things together. We're going to go with green for the ground. And then we're going to use I'm going to use black for the neutral and red for the line.
Bobby, would you like to touch on spades compared to not using spades?
Um, well, I find what I like about the spades is that when you use them, it gets a good connection down, and when you don't use the spades, the wire likes to pull out way too easily. So I feel with the spades you can clamp it down a lot easier and makes a better connection.
Perfect. That's what people in chat are commenting on as well.
So actually, it seems so quiet. I don't even know people are there.
I'm trying to pick the good time to interject. I don't. You're
No,
on
I,
a good flow, man. Way to go.
and truthfully, this is something I didn't even really know about until I watched you do it, Bill, before Keith. We all learn from each other in this hobby.
Can you just talk for the next 2 minutes, Bobby? I'm testing a few things audio wise.
Oh, okay, I'll try to. um, okay, so I'm going to get all these clamped down now. And I'm going to make the wires to go from the power supply to the board itself. So I need to just figure out how long of a wire I need. Now, if you notice, I actually did leave room up here so that I could, if I need to, I could put an expansion board that goes from here to here, so I can have another 16, or I can have a differential expansion out there too. Yeah, so this is about 5 or 6 inches right here that I'm going to use. Same length for all of them.
So I'm jumping between the classes, and I want to tell you that the 2-camera setup and the one with you is awesome. Great, great way to present this class. So, congratulations.
So again, on these, I'm going to put more spades on each end so that I can connect them to the power supply and the controllers. Keith, do you have any other questions out there for me while I'm just crimping these up?
Keith is working on some audio right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, Brian, is there any questions?
Yeah, actually, there is. What voltage power supplies are you using? And could you talk about putting both 12 volt and 5 volt? So I'd know what I would answer, but
yeah, I use 12 volts only. The only time I've ever used 5 volts is for portable things I've ever made, so I can just use a battery pack for those. I mean, I've always used 12, but as long as you set the jumper correct, I believe this is the port. Please don't quote me on this because I'm not going to. I'm not for sure, but as with the Falcons, I believe you can run two different power supplies. You can run 1.5, 1.12. Just make sure that your jumper is set correctly here so that it does not fry your beagle bone or the board. That's the only thing I'd make sure on that. Anything else out there, Brian?
You're doing great, man.
No, is there any other
Yeah,
questions?
Yeah.
no, there was nothing else on there.
Okay. So I mean, it can only be so exciting just watching me put spades on. So,
I'm very entertained.
oh, I'm glad. Oh, and yeah, I need to get a little sip for my drink here.
Hey, while you're doing that, can you talk about the Plano box that you're using to put your controller into and everything? I know we're not to that yet, but just something to talk about.
Okay, I know. Yeah, and I use the Plano box. I find it. I mean, it's larger than what you need, but for I think it's $15. And the big thing that I really like about it is that it has a heavy duty lid. And I live in Niagara Falls, New York, and we can get a few feet of snow pretty quickly. And I like it so that if we do get the snow, it won't crush my box. I'm looking for its ruggedness really more than anything. Now, when I'm wiring this up, I'm going to put the black for ground and red for positive. For the black for the negative and the red for the positive. Now, when you are wiring up these boards, make sure that you do have the positive going to the volt on the board and the negative going to the ground, because they do change. Both of them have the grounds on the outsides. So I don't want people letting the smoke out of their controllers. I mean, again, I really want to emphasize this. This is my negative. This is my positive. Negative, positive. Again, negative, positive. The negative is on the outside. Make sure you don't fry this board. We see a lot of posts about that in the groups. I don't want to fry my own board either. Okay, so now that this is put together, now we're going to work on the box. This here is the box that I like to use. It's a Plano Sportsman trunk. It's 56 quart. I mean, as I said, it's larger than what's needed. I like it so that when I need to get in here, I can access stuff, and there's a lot of room for me to pull the wires out and not to take everything out to get into it. I mean, like the CG15s, those I mean, they're nice, but to me they're just too tight for me. And when I'm shivering out in the cold, I want to just get in, get out, and get back inside as soon as I can. Now, for the pigtails, I use for measuring it out is strip for Megatree. Just place it on there. I just mark it every 2 inches. Do 8 and 8. Want to make sure that you gotta watch out for these ribs though, because you don't want that to get in the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are going to be my marks here now for when I drill my holes. Okay, I'm going to use a step bit for drilling these out. It works easier to drill in. We need to drill down to the 9/16 for it to be large enough for the glands, the PG9 glands that I got from Wired Watts to fit in the hole.
While you're drilling the hole, I'm going to mute you just so the drill
Absolutely,
doesn't
thank
kill
you.
everybody. So if you're going to talk, raise your hand. I'll unmute you for you.
I just want to take this moment to thank our sponsors, Boscodio Studios and Gilbert Engineering, for being our sponsors for this event.
And Bobby, you're going to have to unmute yourself. It won't let me unmute you. I just tried. And so when you're done drilling, you can unmute. Hey, Bobby, could you unmute yourself real quick just so you get your picture up? I'm sorry. We
That's
were
okay.
talking about the sponsors and
Oh,
sorry about that, bud.
okay. And I'm actually going to mute myself so I can just do a little drill on the other side here, and then I'll be good to go on this. Okay. So when I put these cable glands in, what I've found out about, which works really good, is normally when you put it on, there's a flat side to it. If you actually turn it around, it's a lot easier for you to grip, for you to tighten it up. And there's all my my glands for the pigtails. The next thing I'm going to drill out is for my Ethernet connections. I have four of them for each of the expansion ports for the differential receivers, and then one for Ethernet as well if I want to use that. Now I've been going wireless with my Kulp boards. The only one that I actually do have wired in is my main board, which runs my show. Because I actually have two shows, one in Niagara Falls, one on Grand Island. And the one on Grand Island, I have that one wired right into my wireless router, and then from there everything else is wireless. That way I can actually access my board from the home network on the wireless. Now these are new connections that Wired Watts has, and I have to say they are pretty big compared to the old ones. The old ones were pretty much almost the same size as these glands. Like about 1 inch in diameter for the whole opening. Now for this one, I could probably use a strip again just to try and find the side, where to place them. Some things I just eyeball it. I mean, this is a DIY, so. And actually, the 2 inch spacing does look like it would work good for that.
And right after you get done drilling those holes, there is a question.
So I'll
if
mute
you could.
myself.
No. I'm gonna let you do that so we keep you on the screen. Because if we talk during it, it kills your feed and puts the speaker talk up. So I'm gonna let you do that. But there was a question in chat. If you could comment on the glands that you're using, advantages, disadvantage of using the single cable glands versus the larger glands for multiple wires.
I mean, really, the only answer I can give to that is this is what I have used. I have, with the, I don't know how waterproof the multi-cable glands actually are. With these, they'll create a seal around the wire, and I mean, because these are, I'm going to place it in the yard, just sitting down, and I don't want water to get in, so that's why I use this style. If it's a multi, I would assume that the water would be able to get between the wires and into the box then. So if you're using like a CG, 1500 or 2000 with the opening down, that I could see, purpose for that. But for me, this is just what I like to use.
Bobby, could you unmute for a second and say something so we can get your screen
yes.
back up, please? Yeah, we had somebody pop up for a second, so thank you, sir.
Yep. I should be almost done drilling here anyways. This is my own version of our sponsor's Christmas spirits. It gets everywhere. Okay. Yep. Now, for these ends, if you're not going to use every one of these, what I end up doing is I just take them off, cap off the end. There's caps on here, put them on. And then until I actually need to use these, I just throw them right in my box. I just drop them in there. There's more than enough room. And then I'll always know where they're at as well. The reason I do put all these on here right away, of course, I mean, I have the ports available, and so that it is expandable in the future. Because I'll tell you, once you start setting everything up, it's like, oh, now I need to go, you realize, oh, I actually need to put another differential receiver out, or, plans change all the time. Always got to be flexible. Okay. The next thing I want to do is the extension cord. You can buy the cords from any supplier that you buy your power supplies from. I just go with bucket 25-foot extension cord. I just have it, it's there then. And I can reach further, don't, have to go looking for even more extension cords in the future. Take the receptacle end and snip it right off. And the thing is, I did not put it on my list. It does need to be added on. I use P11 glands for my power cord. I thought I brought one with me. Nope, I left it upstairs. Okay, so what I will do though is I will still drill a hole in the side to put it through. Nope, actually, I'm sorry, I did bring them down. That hole is just a fraction of an inch off.
While you're doing that, can you expand on the Cat 5 glands that you used from Wired Watts, please? There's a question on them because it's not actually, it's built-in gland. So
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
the Cat 5 glands that you just
Yes.
got done drilling, can you expand on those a little bit? The size hole that you used
okay. I drilled I believe that was 1 inch hole I drilled for those. Yeah, I went to 1 inch. Drilled a 1 inch hole that was big enough for those to go through. On these glands, now in the previous glands that I've had, you have to terminate your own glands. Although I think actually these. Yeah, you have to terminate your own Cat 5 on these. But in the past, you would actually, the ones I got from Wired Watts last year, you when you put it in, it actually would crimp down the connector, and you just put it in there and connect it and tighten it up. On these, you actually now I gotta figure out how these go back together. With these, your wire actually is loose. You connect it into it, and then you tighten this on afterwards. There we go. So actually, when I go to connect it, it'll be I'll just connect it in, and then take this and tighten that up on there to create the seal, so the water will not get into the box. Does that answer question there?
Carol, is that what you were wanting to know? That's enough for what she needed. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my my power supply, put it through the gland to start, and then get it into the box. Because once I start stripping this down, it will not go through. Okay, now stripping this apart, I will tell you, is not that easy. I mean, if you want it easier, I would recommend that you do go with a pre-cut one, like from Wired Watts or is it Holiday Light Shop. You know, wherever you get your power supplies. If you want it easier, do it that way. Sometimes I'm just a glutton for punishment.
Could you hold that out in front of you a little bit more so it's on your overhead camera, please?
All right. Yeah. So I mean, all I'm doing is I just cut into there, and then I'm just ripping the sheathing off here.
A lot of times with extension cords, what I do is just score the outside of it, and then if you bend it, it'll separate. That's what I've done in the past on extension cords, especially when they have the extra insulation in them. Just not too deep.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you go too deep, at least you can cut off and start again. We have razors here. So I just want to find some more cut-resistant gloves just in case. There we go. I don't want this to turn into a first aid class too. Thank you, Brian.
No problem, sir. I just go around the whole thing lightly, and then when you bend the wire itself, the outside sheathing will separate from itself. So,
Okay, so you score it down and then around.
hey, yep.
If I can go in a straight line. And again, back to the spade connectors.
Bobby, you're doing awesome on time. We're at the 92-minute mark.
Okay, good. That was where that show was going a little way too fast earlier.
No, you're good. I think you're right on pace. We'll have Q&A at the end. Make sure everybody's good.
I'm not gonna do all the pigtails though. Sorry, that's. I'm gonna cut that a little short.
Way too time consuming.
Yeah, I'll demonstrate a few and then that's it. So actually, next thing I will do though is start getting them ready for pigtails. So what you do, stick them in through the glands.
And you're using P7 glands or P9 glands? I don't remember what
I'm
you
using
said.
P9. I have wired Watts pigtails, and I found they didn't really want to feed in through the 7 or real tight fits to start. So I've just gone with the 9s, and it seems to work really good. So I can always clamp them down anyways onto the wires. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to my controller. I'm going to take off the Phoenix connectors here so that I can wire the pigtails onto there.
And your bandwidth just dropped dramatically, so I don't know.
Okay, we're just going to go with, I'm just going to do 4 Phoenix connectors here just so that I'm not taking up everybody's time doing this. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to snip off the ends of these of the pigtail end, the wires, because they put tin on there so that when you solder these wires together, they'll make a better connection. For what we're doing, actually the bare wires will make it easier. So snip and then sorry, these vice grip strippers work wonders.
Okay, your bandwidth came back up. You're back to full screen, so that's much better. You are getting asked in the chat if you use heat shrink to label your pigtails.
No, I use a label maker, and in the pictures that we had from the on the website, I label each port on my box along with all of the RJ45 connections as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so when I connect the Phoenix connector to the wire, I'm going to go, it goes, I always make sure it's black, yellow, red with the screws up.
So there's a comment here, Bobby. So
Yep.
somebody's saying, I have not had good success using a labeler and putting it on a box for outside because the moisture makes my labels fall off.
I use a Brother P-Touch labeler, and I mean we've actually used this labeler for when my son started preschool, and I mean, we labeled his water bottle, and it's gone through numerous washing in the dishwasher, and the labels are still on it, and it's been 5 years. I have yet to have a label fall off of a box. Now, off of a cable, I have tried wrapping those, and that does fall off of there, though.
But if you, I believe that printer does have the ability to use heat shrink label makers as well. I have that exact same printer.
Truthfully, I'd like to look into that then, but you know, for cables, yeah, you'd want heat shrink so that it would protect it. But for my box, I've been happy with using the label maker so far. Okay, so I'm just going to do four cables on here, 4 pigtails on here, and I'm going to just connect the rest of this all up and show you that. Now, due to just the wires that I have compared to what the wires are on here, my wife's aunt, who is a licensed electrician, she was cringing when I did say about the colors I use. But as long as you know what they are and you use them the way you do, you'll be fine. For this now, I'm going to be using let's see, the black is the hot on your extension cord. The white is neutral and the green is ground. So, I mean, that's the only part that made her cringe about it. But if you want to change it around and do whatever, change the color scheme, that's fine for, whatever you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually connect these onto the same terminal with these. And these wires here will transfer the power over to the other lead well and power that one up as well. That way we only need to use one cord. And I'm using this is a 14 gauge wire. So, I mean, it's not going to pull enough amps at all to cause any problems. And when I'm putting these on, I put it with the, let's see which way, easiest way for you guys to see. The spades are flat, got a little, it's flatter on this side. So I just put them back to back so that they'll go in there a lot easier.
Bobby, we're at 11:47 time. Well, sorry, 1:47 Eastern, right? So,
Yeah.
a few more minutes and then we'll jump into questions.
I'm just trying to get this. I want to get this as complete as I can be, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, and I just realized looking at the schedule again, we do have a 30-minute break
Yeah.
following Bobby's presentation. Keith will be getting set up for his animatronics. So if it does run a little bit long, Bobby, you're okay, bud.
Okay.
As long as everybody watching
I
is
gotta
okay.
I gotta go run my my other computer screen back upstairs for the rest of the day. So I do need that time too.
Okay, bud. As long as you don't get thirsty again, I don't want to see that. You know what?
Oh, I'm sorry here. Hold on. There we go.
Can't wait until tomorrow.
I don't have a whole bunch of stuff that's Buffalo Bills, but most of my stuff's from their glory years.
While Bobby's working on that, there was a question: what's going on tomorrow? There is a snowflake tree being built, copied off after Simon Reed. Geez, I'm trying to think now. Too much coffee, maybe. Yeah, snowflake tree that I'm going to be doing in the garage, and then also a brand new tree from Matos Designs, mini tree / medium tree. So, but we also have some excellent builds coming up this afternoon with Keith Peffer, Dave Breland, Bill Alley. I'm having a hard time thinking. And help me, Keith.
Help me, Rhonda. Help me. You, Brian.
It never, well, they didn't change the schedule. It's not, it is the P10, P5, P10, but it's now going to be, we have a new person for that. I cannot believe I'm totally brain farting his name. Holy smokes. Nathan Miller is doing the P5 / P10 build. I am so sorry, the enclosure build for that. And Bobby, could you?
No, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Take
Thanks.
it back from you.
The good thing is I'm recording this, and the way I'm recording it is I pinned your video, Bobby. And I suggest other people do that too. Then they don't have to worry about if somebody speaks.
Like here I have that's port 1. Port 2 is beneath it. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 16. And that's how I label my ports on my enclosures.
While we're finishing up, or while you're finishing up, do you mind if we open it up to Q&A?
Go right ahead.
Okay. What we'll do is raise your hand, please. I don't want anybody talking over each other, and give Bobby plenty of time to answer the questions if you do have any. Raise your hand. We'll call on you and ask your question so we can respond, please, if you like to.
And how I have this set up, I have the 4 RJ45s on the top with 1 on the bottom. That's my actual Ethernet line for the network. And then when I just make sure to connect it to that first. And I do them in sequence. I do, as I have one here, 17 to 20 is the one on my left, the first left one. And you have 21 to 24, 25 to 28, and then 29 to 32. And again, I mean, I'll put labels on the outside of my box when I'm all done, so that I know what to do when I'm out on the yard. Okay, I mean, really, that's, besides putting in the rest of the pigtails, that's it. Just make sure to tighten up your glands when you're done. Just pull them nice and just twist them so you can't go no more, and then they're waterproof.
Do you secure the bottom board to the box at all, hot glue or anything like that, just so it doesn't move around as you're carrying it out or bringing it in?
I haven't yet. Once you get all the pigtails in there, especially, I mean, if you have a F30 or a K32, I put all mine on my other 16 on the other side, so that keeps the board right in place on that. But no, I haven't actually secured that at all. Anybody else?
Sorry, I was muted on my mic. Yeah, no other questions so far. One thing I do just at the bottom is I cut 2 inches pieces of block and then I hot glue them to the board or the baseboard and the bottom of the box just to lift it up a little bit, keep it up in case any condensation builds up because of the temperature change from what I have up here. But that's the only difference I do. So, anybody else have any questions?
If you were using a K32 and you wanted extra power supplies, how would you mount that in this box?
I have actually stacked 2 on top of each other on the one side, and then 2 on the other side. I mean, you'd want some space in between them for the fans, but I'd have them, them facing so that they would match up with my power post. But on my other one build I did use 2 HP power supplies, so that provides more than enough power as well.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you for the question. Bobby, I'm going to thank you very much. It doesn't look like there's any more questions, so thank you very much. I loved your presentation. It was awesome, dude.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby. I want to give a big shout out again to Bosco Studios for sponsoring VCS, and then also Gilbert Engineering for sponsoring this room. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.